How are we justified? What does it mean? There must be a purpose to our life and a destination to which we are committed, or we cannot be justified. But if we cannot be justified, then there is no condemnation either. Justification implies a judge, and if a judge, there is a judgment. This requires a higher authority or something to which we are obligated to. The only viable destination or purpose is perfection. This means we do not shed costs. We contain all costs within our own accounts. To be justified, we need faith in an objective. The only possible objective is our own perfection. But what does this mean? Technically, we cannot be flawed if we are perfect, but there needs to be a way to translate this concept of perfection into raw data. To be perfect is to pay any costs we create. Our perfection is determined by the absence of any liabilities, that is, unpaid costs. Perfection is defined by maturity. Maturation is the same process as that which leads to perfection. The perfect human is a mature human. It is people's lack of maturity that causes the problems we have. The difference between good and evil is the same as the difference between the mature and immature. The path we take towards maturity is the path we take towards justification and to perfection. Maturation is perfection when achieved in the spiritual sense. When we discover how to mature physically, then we can plot mathematically our path to perfection, and this reveals our level of justification. To understand the meaning of perfection, we need only to investigate the line between the mature and immature. We all mature physically. We do not all mature spiritually. The immature child is a dependent. He or she does not achieve full adulthood until they are able to provide for themselves. When we mature physically, we are physically able to care for ourselves. But there is a barrier we need to leap before we can truly claim to the status of a mature human being. It is a status some never achieve. We need to be able to pay our own way. It is not that people cannot pay their own way, they choose not to. We end up with politicians, social workers, financiers, governments, and many other forms of parasites. Anyone who produces something no one will pay for out of their own earnings is a parasite. On the other hand, people who consume what they do not pay a fair sum for are also parasites. This is why what appears to be a complex idea and something far beyond us is actually quite simple and well within reach, which is why to not be perfect is to be evil. Perfection is well within the reach of us all. Perfection is equality because there is no rational basis for inequality. All we must do is the same as everyone else, and that means earn what we spend. We are justified as our accounts can be reconciled. This is simple and obvious enough. There is no one who can justify making a claim on the wealth created by another. The most basic right we can think of is the right to own what we create. Without that right, there are no rights. Without the right to own what we create, we end up in chaos. Who can contest this but children? Physical children have a point. They are literally dependent on us. What's more, the claim children have on their parents and on society generally is valid. In a legal sense, they have standing. We too were children at one time. At one time, we needed care and protection, whether from our parents or from society generally. We were born into this world, and we consumed the resources provided to us. We have an obligation to replenish what we took. Every adult born of man and woman has an obligation to bear and raise children. If the parents are unable to, then society has the obligation to raise these children. However, if raised correctly, the child will grow up and mature physically and also spiritually. At some point, they will accept responsibility for themselves. At this point, they will be justified. They will exhibit faith, and in their faith, their work will bear the fruits of faith. This is what we know of as the church. As the church, they will be bound together in faith. This means, or implies, there is trust, which also means they do not represent risk to one another. This means they are not creating liabilities for others to pay. This implies equality. The church is spiritually mature Christians who do not create costs for others to pay. Honesty is all it takes to reform the world and to create a paradise. Don't steal, meaning do not take what you do not pay for and pay for what you take or consume. Be honest in your actions and be honest in your speech. Do not steal or defraud and then lie to cover up the wrong. It is not complicated.